For those who may not know, the Library of America is a nonprofit publisher and cultural institution dedicated to making permanently available authoritative volumes of great American writing. Our publishing program is supported by the Library of America Fellows, our patrons group, and it's great to see so many of the fellows here tonight. Good to see you. We're here tonight to celebrate in a special way the publication of this volume, the first collected edition of the poems of Jack Kerouac, edited with sensitivity, insight, and the special sympathy of a fellow artist by Mary Len Phipps Kettlewell, who joins us this evening. Mary Len, if you could stand up. This is the second Kerouac volume in the series, along with Kerouac's Road novels, published in 2007. And both projects owe an immense debt of gratitude. In fact, they owe their existence to a man who's also here tonight, the executor of the Kerouac estate, John Sampas. Kerouac was one of the gifted outsiders who remade American literature after World War II. He became famous, of course, for his road trips across America in the late 40s and 50s, but his true journey was ascetic and inward, to find a way to capture in words what everything is like, how it felt to be alive and vital and conscious and sentient in America in his time, to dig deep into American reality as his heroes Whitman and Twain and Thomas Wolfe had done. Wolfe, Kerouac said, woke me up to America as a poem. Kerouac wrote, "I'm going to discover a way of preserving the big, rushing tremendousness in me and in all poets, to channel the energy flowing through him from great books, daring friends, high purpose, and wide experience. It's not the words that count," he wrote, "but the rush of what is said." To achieve this, and it was his great breakthrough, Kerouac discovered what he called spontaneous prose, a technique, actually a kind of spiritual practice, requiring endless, exhaustive training in journal writing and on-the-spot sketching in words to prepare for the climactic performance of the final draft. The formal aesthetic perfection of the work, which was the big thing in the 50s because Henry James and T.S. Eliot were the reigning idols of literary orthodoxy, that to Kerouac was the enemy. Instead, he strove to perfect a style, a voice, explosively lyrical and charismatic, to express everything that so-called serious literature censored or distorted, what he called the speed and tension and ecstatic tomfoolery of the age. A voice that could be soaring, ecstatic, meditative, funny, passionate, goofy, sorrowful, soulful, embrace in its flow echoes of Melville and the Katzenjammer Kids and Ordinary American Talk and Buddhist sutras. There are analogies to what Jackson Pollock and Marlon Brando were doing, but Kerouac's model and inspiration was jazz, especially what he heard Charlie Parker and other bebop players doing on the bandstand. "I want," he wrote in Mexico City Blues, "to be considered a jazz poet blowing a long blues in an afternoon jam session on Sunday." Like-minded friends understood what he was about. Allen Ginsberg, who was decisively influenced by Kerouac's voice, as was everyone, from Bob Dylan to Thomas Pynchon, John Updike to Jerry Garcia, Ginsberg called the voice spontaneous bop prosody. As Kerouac got deeper into Buddhism, he meditated to free his mind for spontaneous composition experiments, and his technique of sketching or notating his own mental processes flowed into other poetic forms, including such honored ancient ones as the haiku, the sutra, the testament to friendship, the dream, the religious vision. He also invented a few of his own, the pop, the flash, and his version of a jazz soloist taking blues choruses, which brings us to tonight's program. In 1957, The Year on the Road was published, and Kerouac received the gift and curse, mostly curse, of celebrity. He got an opportunity to collaborate directly with jazz musicians. It came about like this. In late December of that year, the height of Kerouac's fame, the Village Vanguard engaged him for a week of poetry readings. Steve Allen, who was already a well-known musician, actor, comic, and TV personality, and also an admirer and friend of Kerouac's, was there opening night. The first show was a disaster. And in the break afterwards, Alan went backstage and told Kerouac and the Vanguard people he thought the readings would work better if they were accompanied by jazz piano. They offered him the job on the spot, starting with the second show that evening. He accepted, and it worked, and it was a great gig for a week at the Village Vanguard. Bob Thiel, a director of Dot Records and also a friend, caught the act and suggested they come in and record it for posterity. So a couple months later, Kerouac came up from his mother's house in Orlando with a battered suitcase full of handwritten manuscripts of prose and poetry, some on long rolls of paper, some on separate pages, and some on little bits and pieces. What'll I read, he asks. Alan says, anything you want. Kerouac reaches into the suitcase, picks something out, Alan looks at it, says okay, and they go. No rehearsal, no one knew what would happen. Alan starts to play, engineer rolls tape, Kerouac reads. Between cuts, it is said Kerouac passed Steve Allen his pint of Thunderbird, which the pianist drank, according to Kerouac, with a charitable gaiety. After one run-through, the engineers came out and said, great first take. Kerouac said, actually only take. And they all packed up and went home. Later that spring, Kerouac agreed to another record date if Thiel would hire his favorite musicians, tenor saxophonist Zoot Sims and Al Cohn. So that is the short version of the story behind the now legendary recordings, the two LPs, Poetry from the Beat Generation and Blues and Haiku. Tonight, we are extraordinarily lucky that a gifted actor and two gifted musicians have agreed to come join in an experiment, not to recreate Kerouac's legendary recordings, but to reimagine them for the 21st century. Are we in a new Kerouac moment? As Allen Ginsberg said of Kerouac's performances, the evidence is in your ears. Please welcome back to the Library of America stage, we know when we have a good thing, our reader Peter Francis James, the amazing Aaron Diehl on piano, and on tenor saxophone, distinguished professor of the College of Musical Knowledge, the Colossus of Reeds, my good friend Loren Schoenberg.
San Francisco, back at the Southern Pacific Station at 3rd and Townsend in red brick of drowsy, lazy afternoons. With everybody at work in offices, in the air you feel the impending rush of their commuter frenzy. As soon they'll be charging en masse from Market and Sansom buildings, on foot and in buses, and all well-dressed through working man Frisco, of walk-up truck drivers, and even the poor grime-bemarked 3rd Street of lost bums, even Negroes so hopeless and long left east, in meanings of responsibility and try, that now all they do is stand there, spitting in the broken glass, sometimes 50 in one afternoon against one wall at 3rd and Howard. And here's all these Millbrae and San Carlos neat necktied producers and computers of America and steel civilization rushing by with San Francisco Chronicles and green call bulletins, not even enough time to be disdainful. They've got to catch 130, 132, 134, 136, all the way up to 146 till the time of evening supper in homes of the railroad earth. When high in the sky the magic stars ride above the following hotshot freight trains. It's all in California. It's all a sea. I swim out of it in afternoons of sun-hot meditation, in my jeans with a head on handkerchief, on brakeman's lantern, or if not working, on books. I look up at blue sky of perfect lost purity and feel the warp of wood of old America beneath me. and have insane conversations with Negroes in several story windows above, and everything is pouring in the switching moves of boxcars in that little alley, which is so much like the alleys of Lowell, and I hear far off in the sense of coming night that engine calling our mountains. But it was that beautiful cut of clouds. I could always see above the little SP alley, puffs floating by from Oakland, or the Gate of Marin to the north, or San Jose south, the clarity of Cal to break your heart. It was the fantastic drowse and drum hum of hum-lum afternoon, nothing to do, old Frisco, with end-of-land sadness. The people, the alley full of trucks and cars, of businesses nearabouts, and nobody knew or far from cared who I was all my life. 3,500 miles from birth, oh, opened up and at last belonged to me in great America. Now it's night in 3rd Street. The keen little neons and also yellow bulb lights of impossible to believe flops with dark ruined shadows moving back of torn yellow shades like a degenerate China with no money. The cats in Annie's alley, the flop comes on, moans, rolls. The street is loaded with darkness, blue sky above with stars hanging high over old hotel roofs. And blowers of hotels moaning out dusts of interior, the grime inside, the word in mouths falling out tooth by tooth, the reading rooms tick-tock, big clock, with creak chair and slant boards, and old faces looking up over rimless spectacles, bought in some West Virginia, or Florida, or Liverpool, England pawn shop long before I was born. And across rains they've come to the end of the land sadness, end of the world gladness. All you San Franciscos will have to fall eventually and burn again. Charlie Parker looked like Buddha. Charlie Parker, who recently died, laughing at a juggler on the TV. After weeks of strain and sickness, was called the perfect musician. And his expression on his face was as calm, beautiful, and profound as the image of the Buddha, represented in the East, the lidded eyes, the expression that says, all is well. This was what Charlie Parker said when he played, all is well. You had the feeling of early in the morning like a hermit's joy, or like the perfect cry of some wild gang at a jam session. Wail, wop, Charlie burst his lungs to reach the speed of what the speedsters wanted. And what they wanted was the eternal slowdown. A great musician and a great creator of forms that ultimately find expression in mores and what have you. Musically as important as Beethoven, yet not regarded as such at all. A genteel conductor of string orchestras, in front of which he stood, proud and calm, like a leader of music in the great historic world night, and wailed his little saxophone, the alto, with piercing clear lament and perfect tune and shining harmony. Toot, toot, his listeners reacted without showing it and began talking, and soon the whole joint is rocking and everybody talking, and Charlie Parker whistling them on to the brink of eternity with his Irish St. Patrick patoodle stick. And like the holy piss we blop, and we plop in the waters of slaughter, and white meat and die, one after one in time. And how sweet a story it is when you hear Charlie Parker tell it, either on records or at sessions or at official bits in clubs. Shoots in the air for the wallet, gleeful, he whistled the perfect horn. Anyhow, made no difference. Charlie Parker, forgive me. Forgive me for not answering your eyes, for not having made an indication of that which you can devise. Charlie Parker, pray for me. Pray for me and everybody in the nirvanas of your brain, where you hide indulgent and huge, no longer Charlie Parker, but the secret unsayable name that carries with it merit, not to be measured from here to up, down, east or west. Charlie Parker, lay the bane off me and every body. This one needs wine. Just to catch up in the pro, these are American haikus. That's where we got it. Okay. In the medicine cabinet, the winter fly has died of old age. But here I am, 2 p.m. What day is it? The tree looks like a dog barking at heaven. The castle of the Gandharvas is full of aging young couples. Early morning yellow flowers, thinking about the drunkards of Mexico. Blackbird, no, bluebird, pear branch, still jumping. Useless, heavy rain driving into the sea. Drunk as a hoot owl, writing letters by thunderstorm. The bottoms of my shoes are clean from walking in the rain. Bee, why are you staring at me? I'm not a flower. a sea of windblown leaves. Snap your finger. Stop the world. Rain falls harder. Nightfall, too dark to read the page, too cold. Holding up my purring cap to the moon, I sighed. And if you don't like the tone of my poems, you can go jump in the lake. I've been empowered to lay my hand on your shoulder and remind you that you are utterly free, free as empty space. You don't have to be famous, don't have to be perfect, don't have to work, don't have to marry, don't have to carry burdens, don't have to gnaw and kneel. The taste of rain, why kneel? Don't even have to sit. Hosamine, like an endless rock camp, go ahead and blow, explode and go. I won't say nothing, neither this rock and my outhouse doesn't care, and I got no body. It's from Desolation Angels. Now it's jazz. The place is roaring, all beautiful girls in there, one mad brunette at the bar, drunk with her boys, one strange chick I remember from somewhere wearing a simple skirt with pockets, her hands in there, short haircut, slouched, talking to everybody, up and down the stairs they come. The bartenders are the regular band of Jack, and the heavenly drummer who looks up in the sky with blue eyes with a beard is wailing beer caps of bottles and jamming on the cash register, and everything is going to the beat. It's the beat generation, it's the bayat, it's the beat to keep. It's the beat of the heart. It's being beat down in the world, and like old time lowdown, and like an ancient civilization, the slave boatmen rowing galleys to a beat, and servants spinning pottery to a beat. The faces, there's no face to compare with Jack Mingers, who's up on the bandstand now with a colored trumpeter who outblows him wild and dizzy, but Jack's face overlooking all the heads and smoke. He has a face that looks like everybody you've ever known and seen on the street in your generation. A sweet face, hard to describe, sad eyes, cruel lips, expectant gleam, swaying to the beat, tall, majestical, waiting in front of the drugstore, a face like hunkies in New York, hunkies whom you'll see on Times Square, somnolent and alert, sad, sweet, dark, beat, just out of jail, martyred, tortured by sidewalks, starved for sex and companionship, open to anything, ready to introduce new worlds with a shrug. I just stand in the outside hall against the wall, no beer necessary, with collections of in and out listeners. And now here returns Chuck Berman, who is a kid from West Indies who barged into my party 6 months earlier, high with Cody and with the gang. And I had a Chet Baker record on. We hoofed at each other in the room. Tremendous, the perfect grace of his dancing, casual, like Joe Louis casually hoofing. He comes now in, dancing like that, glad. Everybody looks everywhere. It's a jazz joint in beat generation, mad trick. You see someone high
high, then you look away. Everywhere for someone else, it's all insane. Then you look back, you look away, around. Everything is coming in from everywhere, and the sound, the jazz, hi, hey, bang. The little drummer makes a solo, reaches his young hands all over traps and kettles, cymbals and foot pedal, boom. In a fantastic crash of sound, what will happen?
The wheel of the quivering meat conception turns in the void, expelling human beings. Pigs, turtles, frogs, insects, nits, mice, lizards, rats, roan, racing horses, poxy, bucolic, pig, ticks, horrible, unnameable lice of vultures, murderous, attacking dog armies of Africa, rhinos roaming in the jungle, vast boars and huge, gigantic bull elephants, rams, eagles, condors, pones and porcupines and pills, all the endless conception of living beings. Gnashing everywhere and consciousness throughout the 10 directions of space, occupying all the quarters in and out, from supermicroscopic no bug to huge galaxy light-year bowel illuminating the sky of one mind. Poor, I wish I was free of that slaving meat wheel and safe in heaven, dead. Last piece is from On the Road. A lot of people have asked me, why did I write that book or any book? All the stories I wrote were true because I believed in what I saw. I was traveling west one time at the junction of the state line of Colorado. It's arid western one and the state line of poor Utah. I saw in the clouds, huge and massed above the fiery golden desert of evenfall, the great image of God with forefinger pointed straight at me through halos and rolls and golden folds that were like the existence of the gleaming spear in his right hand, which saith, "Come on, boy, go thou across the ground, go moan for man, go moan, go groan alone, go roll your bones alone. Go thou and be little beneath my sight. Go thou and be minutest seed in the pod. Go thou, die hence. And of this world, report you well and truly." Anyway, I wrote this book because we're all gonna die. In the loneliness of my own life, my father dead, my brother dead, my mother far away, my sister and my wife far away, nothing here but my own tragic hands that once were guarded by a world of sweet attention that now are left to guide and disappear their own way into the common dark of all our deaths, sleeping in my raw bed, alone and stupid. With just this one pride and consolation, my heart broke in the general despair and opened up inwards to the Lord. I made a supplication in this dream. So in the last page of On the Road, I describe how the hero, Dean Moriarty, is coming to see me from the West Coast just for a day or two. And we've just been back and forth across the country several times in cars. And now our adventures are over. We're still great friends, but we have to go into later phases of our lives. So there he goes, Dean Moriarty, ragged in the moth-eaten overcoat he bought specially for the freezing temperatures of the East, walking off alone. And the last I saw of him, he rounded the corner of 7th Avenue, eyes on the street ahead, and bent to it again. Gone. So in America, when the sun goes down and I sit on the old broken down river pier watching the long, long skies over New Jersey, and sense all that raw land that rolls in one unbelievable huge bulge over to the west coast, and all that road going, and all the people dreaming in the immensity of it. And in Iowa, I know by now the children must be crying in the land where they let children cry. And tonight the stars will be out, and don't you know that God is Pooh Bear? The evening star must be drooping and shedding her sparkler dims on the prairie, which is just before the coming of complete night that blesses the earth, darkens all the rivers, cups the peaks, and folds the final shore in. And nobody knows what's going to happen to anybody besides the forlorn rags of growing old. I think of Dean Moriarty. I even think of old Dean Moriarty, the father we never found. I think of Dean Moriarty. I think of Dean Moriarty.
Before we close and thank our performers again, we have a little bit of a surprise coming now, which is that Anne Waldman, who's here tonight, poet, teacher, editor, founder of the Jack Kerouac School of Disembodied Poetics at the Naropa Institute in Boulder, will sit in with the band for one reading from Jack Kerouac. You up for that?
Just a few bits. This is from Scripture of the Golden Eternity. And this is 34. Love is all in all, Saint Therese said. Love is all in all, said Saint Therese, choosing love for her vocation and pouring out her happiness from her garden by the gate with a gentle smile, pouring roses on the earth, so that the beggar in the thunderbolt received of the endless offering of her dark void. Man goes a beggaring into nothingness. Ignorance is the father, habit energy is the mother. Opposites are not the same, for the same reason they are the same. The words atoms of dust and the great universes are only words. The idea that they imply is only an idea. The belief into various beings, passing food in and out of ourselves and casting off husks of bodies one after another with no cessation and no definite or particular discrimination is only an idea. The seat of our immortal intelligence can be seen in that beating light between the eyes, the wisdom eye of the ancients. We know what we're doing. We're not disturbed because we're like the golden eternity, pretending at playing the magic card game and making believe it's real. It's a big dream, a joyous ecstasy of words and ideas and flesh, an ethereal flower unfolding and folding back, a movie, an exuberant bunch of lines bounding emptiness, the womb of Avalokiteshvara, a vast secret silence, springtime in the void, happy young gods talking and drinking on a cloud. Our 32,000 chilocosms bear all the marks of excellence. Blind, milky light fills our night, and the morning is a crystal. And then there's a couple lines from the wonderful Pull My Daisy. That's a little more lively here. So this is Pull My Daisy from the that was part of the wonderful movie that Kerouac and Ginsberg and David Amram and others were part of. So this was the kind of seed syllable for that project, Pull My Daisy, with Allen Ginsberg and Neil Cassidy. Just a few lines from this. Pull my daisy, tip my cup, all my doors are open. Cut my thoughts for coconuts, all my eggs are broken. Jack my Arden, gate my shades, woe, my road is spoken. Silk my garden, rose my days, now my prayers awaken. Bone my shadow, dove my dream, start my halo bleeding. Milk my mind and make me cream. Drink me when you're ready, hop my heart on, harp my height. Seraphs hold me steady. Hip my angel, hype my light, lay it on the needy. Say my oops, ope my shell, bite me naked nut. Roll my bones, ring my bell, call my worm to sup. Poke my parts, pop my pot, raise my daisy up. Poke my pap, pit my plum, let my gap be shut.
Thank you, Anne. That was splendid. And thanks to all of our performers this evening. Peter Francis James, Aaron Diehl, and Loren Schoenberg. We now know that a Shakespearean actor can do anything, and that the magic of the magic of jazz really gives expression to the writing of Jack Kerouac. We want to thank all of them, and Anne, and we want to also thank all of our fellows who are here this evening, as well as their guests. Those of you who are not yet fellows, we hope that after this evening you will want to join and become a member in 2013. Fellows get invited to evenings like this one on literary and historical subjects. They get free books, and they also help to support the mission of the Library of America to ensure the permanence and presence of American writing in the continuing cultural life of the nation. We have one more event this fellow season. It's our holiday party on December 6th at the wonderful and elaborate, lavish apartment of Christopher Hyland, an interior designer. And it's quite over the top, and I hope you'll all put it on your calendar. It's not to be missed. We also have warmest thanks to Deborah and Jason McManus for opening their home again to the community. We had our first Fellows event in this very place 3 years ago this month in November, so it's wonderful to be here again. We have one more treat for you this evening. In On the Road, Jack Kerouac wrote, "I went to sit in the bus station to think it over. I ate another apple pie and some ice cream. I knew it would be nutritious and delicious, of course." So, riffing on Jack Kerouac, our wonderful caterer, Daniel Vater, has made mini apple pies with ice cream that are soon to be coming out of the kitchen. So, we hope you enjoy the pies, read Jack Kerouac, become a fellow, and thank you again for coming.